Something I've come to realize in life, the power of acceptance, not resisting things. Because the more that we resist things, the more they persist. Maybe you've heard that saying. The reason for that is because the more you resist something, the more you push it away, the more prevalent it becomes within your awareness. If you try not to think about something, you're probably going to think about it. If you try to push something away that can't be pushed away, that you don't have control over, it's going to create more suffering for you. But through acceptance, through allowing, you come to a great sense of inner peace within yourself. Maybe not happiness, because you might be experiencing something that you don't want to happen. Maybe grief or loss, or maybe you injured yourself, or anything really. Doesn't mean you're going to be happy, but through acceptance, you come to peace. And peace is maybe even more powerful than happiness. Happiness is a transient emotion that comes and goes, but peace can always be there, regardless of what good or bad things are going on in your life, or or whatever you perceive to be good or bad, because there isn't really anything good or bad. It's just the way that we label it. You ever notice how the so-called good things lead to the so-called bad things, and life just becomes this pendulum swinging back and forth? That's why it's important to just accept things as they are, because we don't know enough to be negative. Through picking and choosing what we want and don't want to happen, we create more inner turmoil. And we don't know enough to be negative. Maybe that loss or that unfortunate circumstance is actually giving you some of the best lessons and leading you on your highest path without you realizing it. Maybe that flat tire that you get is actually helping you in some way without you knowing. Sometimes you have to wait to be able to understand why things happen the way they do. Steve Jobs had a good quote, something about you can only really connect the dots looking backwards. It's tough to understand why things happen the way they do. And acceptance is the way of inner peace, of allowing things to be. Because through acceptance, you align yourself with the flow of life, with God, or universe, or infinite intelligence, rather than trying to resist the flow of life. And your power lies in alignment, not in resistance, not in trying to force your own way, but in surrendering. There's a lot of power in acceptance and surrender, and letting go of your own way, your own limited understanding of things. Because again, we don't always have the answers. And when you can let things be through acceptance, you allow the unfolding to take place. And in allowing that, the flow can take you to places that you never thought possible. So remember, when you're going through something hard, this is a mantra that I used in some of the toughest parts of my life. Breathe in acceptance, breathe out resistance. And I just repeated that to myself, and I practiced that. And again, it didn't mean I was necessarily happy with the given circumstances that I was faced with at the time, but I found a lot of peace within myself. And when I came to peace, when I was able to find a sense of regulation within myself, life began to open up for me. My perception opened up. I was able to see the opportunities of what I was going through rather than all of the misfortune. The lens I looked at life through changed, all through acceptance, all through non-resistance. And you too can find this place within yourself. It's a practice, but it's worth it. Alignment with God or with life might be the most important thing. To align ourselves with that greater intelligence that we're not separate from, we're actually part of. It's like your hand. Imagine if this index finger thought that it was separate from the hand that it was attached to, and it tried to resist the flow. It would just cause a lot of interference and a lot of inconvenience. Whereas when the finger obeys what the rest of the hand is doing, even though it might not understand that it's part of something bigger, it works a lot better. It's part of a system. So things happen for a reason. And I like to think that they happen for our own growth, our own evolution. And the unfortunate part about that is growth and evolution doesn't usually happen when things are easy necessarily. They tend to happen when we're going through a tough time, because then we're forced to look within ourselves and examine and reflect and open our minds. I think Rumi had a quote, and it said, "The wound is the place where the light enters." I think that's very true. The hardships, the inconveniences, the so-called misfortunes are actually not so bad, because they lead us to purpose, to meaning, to self-understanding, to growth, personally and spiritually. But you can only come to those lessons and that growth through acceptance. Because when we resist what happens, we're missing out on the lesson. We're missing out on the growth opportunity. We have tunnel vision. We have the blinders on. We're focused on one thing and one thing only. And that's our own plans, our own way. So acceptance is very simple, but it's very profound and very powerful. And you can use it in your own life to evolve, transcend your own self, your own way of being, your own thinking, and align with life, so you can allow that flow of life and what the universe or God is trying to direct you in to your highest path, you becoming the highest expression of yourself. So, hope this video helps. Breathe in acceptance, breathe out resistance. I'll see you in the next video.